Alright, gonna get on this tailstock, try to finish what I started a while back. And I mentioned I wanted to talk about this a little bit, something that kind of ticked me off about the way this was treated in the past. You can see all the chowder marks here and that the oiler here is destroyed. You can see that the actual cylinder is chewed up. I actually have had this on the lathe and used a file to at least get the protrusions out. When I first got this wouldn't even, it was difficult to take apart because of the fact that this had been beaten up. And so what somebody's done is they've sat there and beaten the daggone centers out of this thing repeatedly. I mean, I don't know how many years. There were two of these. This was not the worst one. The worst one I actually took and stuck in my other lathe with the Atlas and cleaned it up and made it look actually pretty good, and gave that one away with the Atlas 10 that I traded for that tractor. So anyway, it kills me that, so why would you beat this off instead of taking it off the way you're supposed to do it? Well, it was missing a little bit. There's a you'll see when I take this apart, there's something missing in there. There's a little nylon piece that's supposed to screw in the end of this rod that goes through here, the threaded rod, and that's what the back of this is supposed to hit up against. And if that piece is missing, which it is, then what happens is you can screw it all the way back in and this thing is still locked in there. So I fixed it temporarily. I didn't fix it correctly, but it was so easy. I just stuck a little piece of aluminum rod that I'd cut down into there, and it works just fine. And the fact that somebody with a lathe would sit there obviously for years and just beating the crap out of this thing, makes me angry when the fix was so simple. So I'll take a file and sandpaper and whatnot, and I'll try to make this look as good as I can. I'll take out this oil fitting. I've already done what I could with the cylinder. I showed in an earlier video a parts diagram where somebody had marked the prices, and I guess sometime back whenever, this piece was $18 to replace, but Logan Actuator Company still sells parts. They don't make lathes anymore, but it's the same family business. So they still have some old parts in inventory, and they will sell you a new one of these for $380 or something like that. So that ain't gonna happen. So I just cleaned it up the best I could. It's one of the things I'm gonna have to live with. It's gonna bother me every time I see it. But yeah, if you have a lathe that no longer ejects the centers and other tools, just take a little piece of something and let it ride back in there, and it'll work fine until you can take it apart and figure it out correctly. But by all means, do not beat on the daggone thing. Hey guys, so I just wanted to be real clear on what was missing here. This is this piece right here. Take a look at the tip there. You can see something is sheared off. So there's a space of something, some material. They say right here that this is a nylon washer. I think I have several different versions of this, and one of them says that's nylon. But yeah, so there's just a little bit more space that is here in the correct assembly, that when you rotate, you bring this cylinder, the tailstock spindle, back into the tailstock itself. This pushes whatever center you have in the spindle out. That's the way it's supposed to work. Somehow or another, this piece went missing, and so there wasn't anything to knock that out. And so what I did, I had a little piece of material like this. I think I took this out of a printer. This is some aluminum round stock, and I had a little piece about like that Unfortunately, I lost it in the cleaning process of this thing. I forgot I had it in there, and it's somewhere in my yard. My lawnmower will find it later. But anyway, I'll make another one. Just cut a little bit off, and just had it floating up in there. I don't know if right now I'm going to go with. I'm going to mess with trying to drill that out. To do it the way I would want to do it, I'd like to have my my lathe capable of reverse, and it isn't right now. So I'm just going to leave it alone, and I'm just going to make another little spacer piece, and just having that sitting in there, it never went anywhere on me, and it worked perfectly, and saved me from ever having to beat anything out of the tailstock spindle. So there you go. So with that out of the way, all I'm really going to do, oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know, it's not missing, well, it is missing a little piece here. There was a piece that went here. And I might make a little brass or steel mock-up of what went here, just for giggles. This is just like my old Atlas. The first lathe I bought was old enough that they used to use something called white lead, which I don't even think you can buy in the original formulation. It's probably all carcinogenic and all that. But in the days when it was less common, or maybe even they didn't even have live centers like these operated on bearings, they just had dead centers. So you would put your stock on here with a little bit of a lube that you would dab out of here. That's what that was for. So all I'm going to do, I hope I don't run into any more problems with this thing. I think all it needed was just clean up, and like I said, I'm going to try to do some cosmetic work on it, and I'll see if I can find out how to order a new one of those guys. And oh, there is one more thing. Yeah, when I took it apart, the I can't see from right here, but this thing actually rotates right now, which it should not. Can you see that? Yeah. Reason is, see this slot right here? There is a little captive piece under here that just got mangled all to pieces as part of the abuse that this thing went through. It's you know, I don't try to keep it around for a pattern or something, but I may have lost it. Anyway, I've got to duplicate that, make another one. I might make it out of brass. Since it runs inside of here, it might help to keep it from chewing that up again. Now, let's see if I can remember how. Yeah, there's a sequence of taking this apart that I'll have to figure out again. So let's see, this is only finger tight. Take this guy off. And this guy comes off. And this guy has to come off. And of course that's in the way. It's all beat up. Wouldn't be bad to I can clean that up or something. Okay, now I'm at the stage where I'm... Okay. Yeah. So... I have reverse threads in there. That's gone. Now this should go straight out. Yeah. Alright. Okay. I can't think of anything to do beyond what I've done to improve this, other than outright make another one, and then I have to do all these gradations and everything. Well, I wouldn't have to, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, it could be a neat project. You can see it's chewed up in here. I had to clean it up a bit. That's what was causing it to not want to come apart previously. That's because this little bit down in here, which I'll show you how we're getting it apart. Got it bound up a little bit now. And can you see down in here? Yeah, right down in here. There's a piece that sits there. And it's just captured by the slot. Okay, so I don't know what you can see down in there, but looks a little bit different from the design of the Atlas. It has, I think, only one piece that floats. The Atlas has two that come together. So theoretically, when this comes out, this little pinch piece here should come out too, and I think it will. I think it's just going to take some persuasion because it's all gunked up and even has probably paint interfering with it, so I'll get it out of there. Get a little brass bar and play around with it. Yeah, there we go. Just needs cleaning up. That's supposed to ride freely in there, but you see, whoops, you see once it gets up into here, it starts getting jammed up because of crud and actual paint, because morons who painted this previously just painted right over top of it. Yeehaw. Anything else interesting in there? There's my bashed up oil fitting that I gotta replace. As for wear or abuse, you can catch a fingernail, but it didn't seem like, you know, horrible wear. Every little bit's going to affect your center height here, but I don't think that's anything really to worry about where it is right now. Anything else interesting? Just going to clean it up and see it's off of its center right there. If somebody was doing a taper. I'll go ahead and take these all the way out. I don't know if they have to come all the way out to remove this, but just in case, can't hurt. Else would be holding that together other than grease and grime? I can't think of anything. Oops, sorry. I mean smack you in the face. Little block here. I think this thing should move. Yeah, it's moving. Sorry. Yeah, bounce house ride here. Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't popped off. I was thinking that there's nothing else. I was thinking it's just basically a, you know, that friction fit going on with the grease, but maybe there's some sort of a dovetail arrangement here. I mean, I'm really expecting this just to pop off. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay. What else is stopping? There we go. Yeah, that's all it was. Okay. Yeah, it was just the grease being like a glue. Or, yeah, you know what I mean. There's that bad boy. I guess there's anything, it'd be hard to remember about this because this piece here goes in between the two screws, so that becomes, and then you have the keys right there, so that's going to be hard to mess up down the road. We'll never say never. Alright, so now you just have a big old casting, and I'm going to clean it up. And I managed to drive that oil fitting out through the bottom. Just stuck a nail up in here and hit it with a brass rod from the other side. Oh, no, done. So now I gotta go and look on McMaster-Carr or someplace like that and find out how to buy another one of these. This one still looks fine. Just leave him right where he is. And work around him. Trying to do a little cosmetic work on this. Well, the majority of what I'm doing on this thing is cosmetic. Alright, so I might not do much more than that. I'll make up my mind after I've stripped all the rest of the paint off of it. The hammered finish paint that I use, I've been using on this project, will fill in a lot of that. So I don't want to keep filing away good metal and lose the overall round shape in the process. So I think that helps. That'll look better. Time now to get the paint off. Alright, obviously not done yet, but coming along. I didn't take the camera outside. But basically, after it bubbled up, I hosed it and hit it with this guy. Cleaned all that nasty stuff off, citrus stripper stuff. So I want to pick at it a little bit, get rid of some of that stuff. Hit it with a heat gun. So it'd be nice to have an oven in the shop. It'd be good to throw it in the oven for, you know, an hour. But yeah, heat gun will be the next best thing. Get all the moisture out of it. Sand it, and then prime and paint it. And one thing I wanted to point out, it looks like it has some residue of that old white lead I was talking about down in here. Like I said, I'll make a replica little dauber to go in here, and just to complete the package, sorta. Went deeper than I expected. There's quite a lot of this stuff in there. That may or may not be something like the consistency it's supposed to be. I don't know. But see, it goes that far. And that's as far as I'm taking that. Gotta remind myself this is a runner, not a museum piece. So while waiting for some paint to dry, I occupied my time polishing my knob, and it's not done. I'm gonna polish it a bit more. That's actually just emery paper that got it this far, and I'm afraid to. I got some blemishes where I got off a little bit, but I think I'm gonna leave those as character marks, because as you try to smooth, you keep taking more metal, and then you polish one side and you make a mark over here. So I was chasing things like that around a lot. So I think that looks pretty good. And when it when I actually put a buffing wheel on it, I think it'll shine it up nicely. It'll certainly look better than it did. It was just a rough casting. So I want to do something similar with the wheel here. This was actually bent, I think, because of you know, probably taking a hit when the lathe was being moved around. So while it was still pressed in here, I used a little gentle persuasion and got it back running true. I was afraid it might break, but in that case I would make another one. That would be another project. But I think it's good and straight now, and what I'm going to do is stick it in a collet and turn it, and I will try to polish that up as well. This I'm going to hit with the wire wheel to get all that paint off of it, and then I'm going to try to figure out what the best way to try to polish this surface, and I'm leaning towards chucking it up, of course, some way or another, making an arbor, or just finding an appropriate size bolt and nut and sticking that in a collet and turning it that way. Somewhere or another, probably will end up turning this to get this this edge polished. And then I think red in here is appropriate. I've seen a lot of that, or just the old classic gray. I don't know. Looks like it has gray underneath. Yeah, I don't think any of the controls were marked in the original paint scheme. Now, I'm not going original. I'm using a hammered metal finish. So I'm not that particular about exactly how it was, but I want it to look nice, better than the romper room. That's how far I got just with the wire wheel, and you can see remnants of gray paint. So yeah, that was original, was just gray wheels with I'm sure this was nicely polished, and so that's what I'll work on doing, is just getting it back to about where it started. So I'll probably just use a Dremel to get some of these last little pieces that were stubborn. And then this I'll turn in the lathe, try to knock off some of these dings just with some emery paper. Should come out nice. So one of the, I think I'll just go ahead and play around with this a little bit. One of the accessories that came with this lathe I talked about earlier that really has me excited is the 5C collet adapter. I have never actually played with 5C collets before. Oh, this is supposed to go first, then the adapter. Okay, I get it. Yeah, so that just protects the threads. I was thinking sort of like the ER collets that kind of pulled down on it, but no, that's the way it goes. Alright, so that goes there. I have a likely candidate collet here. This bar goes in through the back. Feels pretty good. Alright. Take it out of back here. So I think that even if I someday, I mean, probably this is the most lathe I'm ever going to own, certainly all I ever need, but if I build a garage in the backyard and get, come across a big old gearhead lathe or something like that, and decide to go for it, I could see hanging on to this. I mean, I'm going to hang on to it. I love this lathe. I could see this being dedicated to collets. That would be pretty awesome. And I could just start collecting 5C collets from all over. They make quite a wide variety of them, not just round stock, but square stock, hex stock, all kinds of stuff. Alright, so let's give it a whirl. Alright, so maybe my gentle persuasion didn't get it exactly right when I went tapping on it. Good enough. Alright, this may or may not be my smartest idea ever. Okay, I'm looking alright. What do you think? So what do you think of this idea? Take the key out real quick and just test it for straightness. It's pretty good. I don't have this thing running too fast, so what do you think? Would you do it? Should I do it? Would you call it a 9/16? Yep, hardwood. Alright, stand back. Let's see what happens. I think that's okay. I don't think it's putting terrible stress on it. at that. Much better than it was. Let's get my Dremel out, pick the rest of this crap out, paint it, and I think we'll be good to go. I'm happy. Well, folks, that's as far as I got this weekend. Ready for go to the actual paint. It'll be the hammered finish like I have on the headstock here. I think that looks pretty good. And I'll take the buffing wheels to a few things. Then some actual work on it. I straightened this out a little bit a while back, just using a file, and I want to make that right, this groove right here, and then the actual piece that rides in that groove goes in here and actually needs to be fabricated, so I'll do that. Let's see, I'm going to clean this guy up. He's all beat up, so that's something to do. In fact, I might do a little bit of that after dinner. And she'll be coming back together. It's kind of exciting. Like I said, this thing has sat for a while. Oops. I love having the collet capability. That's just great. Very excited about that. So I will see you guys soon.